Successful people read a lot. Bill Gates reads 50 books a year. Warren Buffett reads 5 or 6 hours a day reading books and newspapers. And Mark Cuban spends about 3 hours reading every day and has attributed his early career success to reading. Hi there, I'm Marisa Murgatroyd. I've coached and supported tens of thousands of people, from side hustlers to seven-figure empires, on how to grow their online businesses. And I'm here to help you succeed too. That's why in this video, I'm sharing five of the highest rated and best reviewed books of all time. And a quick fun fact, all but one of these is under 10 years old. So you're really getting the most up-to-date insights here. All right, let's get to it. Okay, I'm not the biggest sports fan in the world, but I know and respect Michael Jordan a lot. So when I saw that there was a movie out about the creation of the Air Jordan, appropriately called Air, I decided to fire it up. And after it was over, I wanted to learn even more about the biggest shoe launch of all time, one that's still huge nearly 40 years later. So I did a quick search and discovered that Phil Knight, the co-founder of Nike, who was played by none other than Ben Affleck in the movie, published a book called Shoe Dog. This guy is a real page turner. So if you like a fast-paced business book that reads more like fiction, this one's for you. Shoe Dog is essentially an inside look at how a humble business beginning became a massive success against all odds. It chronicles Nike's messy beginnings from 1962 to 1980 when the company went public. So much drama. And when I say this book feels like fiction, I mean it. You've got a court case, backstabbing, battles with the government, the constant threat of going under, business, politics, friendship, family, you name it. Nope, this isn't the latest Netflix thriller. It's a real-life account of the building of one of the most successful brands of all time. Besides the page-turning drama, this book has so much to offer us entrepreneurs. The inside look at everything Phil Knight went through, which was a lot, and I mean a lot, and how he persevered through it all is super inspiring. The company almost failed so many times, and yet Phil kept at it. And Shoe Dog is definitely a testament to sheer resilience. So if you ever go through a rough patch in your entrepreneurial journey, which we all will, or maybe you're feeling a little unmotivated and you need a fire lit under you, I can't recommend Shoe Dog by Phil Knight enough. Okay. The insights in this next book are something I teach my students, that simply adding or changing a few key habits can make a huge difference over time. Small tweaks can help you break through and deliver big results. By simply focusing on getting 1% better each day, just 1%, you can exponentially skyrocket your growth in just a year. That's why this next book is an all-timer that I recommend to every entrepreneur. So what is it? It's Atomic Habits by James Clear. This one is about the power of small changes in your life. How small habits, when compounded over time, will lead to significant improvements. And when you go deeper, you discover the core of this book is all about the power of identity. There's a huge force in our lives that few people are aware of. The inclination to do what we think matches our identity. So if you know deep down that you are an athlete, you'll effortlessly go running. But if you know deep down that you are not, it's gonna be a chore. You'll rely on bursts of motivation to go exercise, and it's been proven time and time again that you can't rely on motivation alone to get you across the finish line. Because while motivation is a great way to turn on the engine, it's not the thing that drives the engine. It's not the fuel that's gonna get you to where you wanna go. Simply put, motivation does not work to create the lifelong habits you need to create the business and the life you want. So don't try and force a big habit if it doesn't match your identity yet. Instead, change your identity first by adopting small habits that will compound over time. Listen to a weekly podcast about running. Join a Facebook group or community of beginner runners. Say out loud that you are a runner. Step it up a notch and go and get fitted for new running shoes and buy new gear. Then, set this out where you'll see it every day. The next step will naturally be to go running because you've taken small steps to change your identity around running. Now, you're a runner. You don't have to try to run a marathon right out of the gate. By simply focusing on getting 1% better each day, you can exponentially skyrocket your growth in just a year.
Yes, yes.
In Atomic Habits, Clear talks about the 2-minute rule. When you start a new habit, focus on aiming for consistency rather than perfection. Do a new habit for 2 minutes, then stop. Do it for 2 minutes every single day, then add more time as you continue and gain more and more confidence. Here's the thing, taking small, consistent action on the right things every day is what will build a long-lasting and successful business. That's why I recommend Atomic Habits. All right. You ready for our next book? Fun fact about this one. This is the only one on my list that's over 10 years old. This classic book answers the age-old question. Why do some companies make the leap to greatness while others just can't seem to break through? In Good to Great, Jim Collins and his team did some extensive research to cover the universal distinguishing characteristics that cause a company to go from good to great. So want to know those characteristics right now? Well, the first characteristic of building a long-lasting and successful business is focusing on getting the right people on board before zeroing in on strategy. In other words, you want to build a dream team before committing to a game plan. Next is having a laser focus on your core strengths and being disciplined enough to stick to them. All of the great companies inside Good to Great, they didn't chase the latest shiny objects or get distracted by what everyone else was doing. Instead, they doubled down on what worked. The third characteristic covers technology. Instead of using tech to completely reinvent themselves, these great companies use it as a tool to speed up their progress. They don't let tech define their strategy, instead using it to enhance what they were already doing well. All right, the fourth characteristic is focusing on a North Star metric. All of these companies had a single metric that informed every decision they made. It's about keeping your eyes on the prize and making sure every move you make is aligned with your ultimate goal. And finally, these companies don't shy away from tough conversations. Being brutally honest about their situation allowed them to tackle problems head on and make the necessary changes. The biggest benefit of Good to Great is the simplicity. A lot of the big tech guys like Amazon have 14 principles or 30-step processes, which can definitely feel overwhelming, when the real key to going from good to great is to hire the right people first and focus on a few simple principles that you'll find inside of this one. Ready for the one book Bill Gates recommends if you want to become a better manager and really a better entrepreneur? It's called Measure What Matters by John Doerr. So why are Bill Gates and so many successful entrepreneurs a fan of this one? It comes down to this one popular business term.
So
I'm talking about goal setting. As you probably know, goal setting can be a tricky thing. You might write a few goals down and then seek to achieve them, but oftentimes this leads to falling short of your goals. Through trial and error, you might have found that you were lacking an actual process in your approach to goal setting. And that's why this book is so critical. Doerr dives into OKRs, or objectives and key results. OKRs require you to break your goals down into 2 steps. Objectives, what you want to achieve, something that provides direction to your business. And key results, often 2 to 5 per objective. These are metrics to verify how you're progressing. This framework will alter the way you track progress towards your goals, which is super helpful to know if you're on the right path. In the book, John Doerr shares real-life examples from companies like Google. In 1999, Doerr introduced the OKR, Objectives and Key Results framework, to Google's co-founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin. Google adopted OKRs in its early days, which helped in setting clear, measurable goals across the company. Google's OKRs encouraged setting ambitious goals, known as stretch goals. One of Google's early OKRs was to achieve a user growth rate of 10x. While this goal was ambitious, it pushed the team to innovate and strive for exceptional growth. The hard thing isn't dreaming big. The hard thing is waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, when the dream turns into a nightmare. Wow, so powerful, right? This is what Ben Horowitz says in this incredible book, The Hard Things About Hard Things. While most business books focus on how to stay out of trouble or how to manage a group of people in a growing business or practical stuff like profit and loss statements, few books talk about how to motivate teams when a business is struggling, or when your industry has flopped, or when you have to lay off friends and executives. The Hard Things About Hard Things dives headfirst. Horowitz gives you the nitty-gritty from his time as the leader of A16Z and SoundCloud to help when times are at their toughest. Zero sugarcoating in this one. So let's dive into the 4 critical lessons inside. The first lesson is that being scared doesn't mean you're gutless. In fact, the hero and the coward both feel the same fear when faced with a difficult decision. In the story of David and Goliath, there's a reason we remember David. No one else stepped up to fight the giant Goliath. The second lesson is that there are no shortcuts to knowledge. According to Horowitz, the only thing that prepares you for running a company is, guess what? Running a company. The only way to learn is by doing it. And no matter how good you are and how prepared you are, things will go wrong. And when that happens, don't run from it, don't hide it, tell the truth. Too often leaders feel the need to lie and cover things up for employees. When you lie, you ruin trust. But when you're transparent with your employees, you do the opposite. You build trust and in turn, team members who will want to stay with you for the long term. The third lesson is all about time. As an entrepreneur, it's easy to get distracted with the millions of things that draw your attention on a daily basis. You could easily spend all day answering emails, working on issues that your team should be solving, or wasting away in worthless meetings. Saying your time is valuable is a massive understatement. After all, it's your job to focus on making the best moves for your company at any given time. These large-scale sweeping decisions are the difficult ones that you make now but won't pay off until later. And when you have to pick between the least bad option, it can define the success or failure of your entire venture. Hey, I never sugarcoat things. Now, the fourth lesson is to not tell people what to do. Too often, entrepreneurs feel the need to micromanage every task that happens in their company. This might work in a startup where you have 5 to 10 employees and you have your hands in everything that's happening. At some point, though, the goal is more important than the process. If you tell your sales team to make 100 calls that day, you've told them what to do. But instead, if you tell them the goal is to make 10 sales today, you give them the power to decide. By giving your team members a goal to accomplish, rather than a set of tasks, you give them ownership and allow them to grow and succeed individually in a way that benefits everyone. Make sense? There's even more gold in here, so definitely give this one a read. All right, there you have it, 5 10 out of 10 books to read for insightful business content. Let's do a quick recap. First, we have Shoe Dog, which chronicles the tumultuous early days of Nike and how a shoe empire came to be through sheer grit. And then we have one of my all-time favorites, Atomic Habits, where you'll discover how to achieve long-term success by focusing on small incremental changes. Next up is Good to Great, which dives into the characteristics that separate the good companies from the great ones. Our fourth 10 out of 10 book is Measure What Matters, where you'll uncover a framework that will alter the way you track progress towards your goals, so you'll know for sure you're on the right track. And then finally, we have The Hard Things About Hard Things, which gives you the strategies you need to overcome the roughest times in your business and come out on top. So drop me a comment below with the one that you're reading first and go ahead and share a 10 out of 10 recommendation on your own. Now, before you go, if you want way more support in building and scaling a long-lasting and fulfilling business, because books can only take you so far, check out our year-long Business Accelerator Momentum. Usually, when it comes to the support that you need to take your business to the next level, you're forced to choose between private coaching, a small group mastermind, or live events and workshops. And while each one of these things is awesome, they're not enough to guarantee the business result you're after. Because with private coaching, you're missing the perspective that comes from community. With small group masterminds, you're lacking the depth and accountability of having that private coach. And with live events and workshops, you get pumped, but then the excitement fades and you fall back into procrastination and overwhelm. That's why I've created one cohesive program that gives you all 3. I like to call it a best of all worlds program. You get private concierge coaching, small group masterminds, and live training and quarterly events. Yep, all 3 in one value-packed program. If your ears are perked up and you're excited to learn more about how me and my team can support you in realizing your biggest business goals this year, check out the link below to schedule a no-pressure call with a program specialist. So schedule that call, and I hope to see you inside Momentum. Now go out there and live your message.